Hey, welcome back everybody to another channel, or another episode, sorry. Wow, it's time to get started off right. Another episode of Luthi's Archery TV. So basically what I wanted to go through today was a little bit more of like, so as you can kind of see here, I brought out the arsenal. I have brought pretty much every bow kind of configuration I can think of, plus I also have the other Luthi here, my bigger brother here, both in age and waistline, if you can tell. But not by long, hopefully. But basically we're just gonna kind of go through our different bow setups. He's got his rigs, I've got my rig down here, plus I've got all my recurve stuff over here. Basically just kind of run through just a little bit of the whole setup, you know, the benefits, the plus and minuses of the different things that we have, and see if we can help you out. So first of all, what I want to kind of go over and show you is kind of more on the bargain end of things, so more on the recurve side. So we'll go ahead and get that started. I'm just going to flip over the camera and get started. Okay, perfect. So when you get into archery, so there's a couple different fields as far as the recurve side that you can kind of choose from. So I've got two basic examples here. Now these are set up for what's called your traditional bow, or like your traditional bow hunter type style. The difference between a traditional setup and a regular kind of recurve setup is, well, again, this is just more flashy just because that's my target bow. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You can get a cheaper bow, but basically you can get a cheaper bow. The biggest difference is this guy actually has like a little rest off to the side here. You can put sight stabilizers, all that kind of stuff on here, different style limbs. Now your bow hunting setup, or your basic traditional setup, again, this one there's no rest or anything, you're just shooting straight off the shelf, and so it's just a little bit different setup. We'll kind of show you how little hints and tricks as far as how to, you know, shoot or different ways of shooting and getting those set up. Okay, now when going out to shoot traditional bows like this, now the kind of drop, or not necessarily drawback, but one thing to kind of pay attention to when you're shooting off the shelf like this is the type of vanes that you're shooting with on your arrows. You know, the other arrows that I have, or I mean with these particular rests, you want to make sure you get an arrow set up. It can be any type of arrow, hunting, whichever, but make sure you have feather vanes. So these guys here, if I can grab it, like I said, are a feather vane. So what happens, like when when you get these and they shoot off the rest, it just kind of slides and it collapses enough so it kind of glides right off there. So it's a lot easier, so you don't get your arrows kicking up all over the place. So I shot a bunch down here already, where I had some with some kind of irregular vanes versus your feathers. They definitely, you know, shot a lot straight into the target there. All right. Now, one of the other big things that you want to pay attention to, or when you are shooting a traditional style like this, I would highly recommend getting out and getting an arm guard and also another finger cap. Now, this bow is only 20 or like 25 pounds, so it's not going to do, you know, it's not that hard to really pull back at all. But when it comes to traditional, there's a lot more likely of a chance of actually whacking your arm. And, you know, just for you guys, just for YouTube, I'll show you why exactly. But basically what happens when the string comes by, there's a lot more likely of a chance of hitting your wrist here, so this just helps protect you. So basically without this little guy, just gonna step that there. Now, a lot of people can get away with shooting without one of those little arm guards there. What tends to happen, like when you first kind of grip your bow, there's a lot of people tend to give it this little death grip right here where all fingers are kind of wrapped around the edge there. What happens, if you notice the elbow here, it honestly like turns and tweaks it out. Yeah, go ahead. But what happens when you have the right hand placement, so if I take this and just kind of angle it a little bit, a couple fingers on the front like that, see a 45-degree angle on the knuckles there, that automatically just rotated the wrist out of the way. So that way you don't have that possibility of walking away with a giant bruise, basically. Once these guys get back, we'll go ahead and do a couple of shots. I'll do one with and one without the right grip, or without the grip placement on there, and see what it does. We're gonna start off with a bad grip placement, see how it works. Finger tabs, again, depending on where you shoot. Now the traditional bow, again, since we're shooting off the rest, it's really hard to kind of shoot it straight up and down, so with the traditional style, you actually kind of give it a little bit of a canter, a little bit of a kink to it. Then once you get this set up, you want to get it nice and close. And then, ow. I don't know if you can see all too well, but that definitely whipped the side there. We'll do one more, just for you. You can kind of see the little discoloration right in through there.
there.
That's about where I feel it there.
Pretty about 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes, that's going to be nice and purple. So now...
That's called taking one for the team, YouTube.
All right, so now with a good placement, so again, so here's bad, and then you flip it out. See how much more room you have out of there?
You can see the angle posture on that. Okay.
And look, it wasn't even close to my arm. And so making sure that you have a good rotation of the elbow there. And this is actually a really funny little trick. Actually, if you have like a wall at home that you want to play with this, just sit your hand on the wall and just kind of rotate and twist your elbow out. It can kind of help. But the other thing that helps out too is making sure you have kind of this V kind of figure. So again, once you set that in the bow, 45-degree angle on there, it just helps kind of get that set up and out of the way.
I was going to point out one thing on Jake's hand real quick. Raise your hand back up, Jake. Good thing is two fingers in front. Tuck these two fingers in the side, and what it does naturally, you see his elbow is pointing out and away, and all that meat from his forearm right here is out of the line of fire.
Yeah, you can really see that starting to pop out.
Like I said, he took one for the team.
And this is only a 26-pound bow. If you end up getting something heavier, because I've got another bow over here that's about 44 pounds, and that would really...
We'll let him shoot the buffalo and do that again next time. And so...
Now, honestly, the trick when it comes to shooting traditional like this, it's honestly just getting used to the bow. How does it shoot? What positions do you shoot at? Anchor point is also a huge thing. Anchor point is basically pulling back to the same location every time. So once I get the bow set up here, everything is set out here, pull back, and usually when I get my first finger to the corner of my mouth is when I kind of do the final expansion follow through. As far as aiming, basically right now, just because I'm at 10 yards, I'm just using the tip and just putting it on the target where I want and just seeing where it hits.
Now we'll take one from another angle. Okay. So we saw the first angle that he aimed at, where we saw the angle facing him showing the anchor point. Now we'll show downrange. And that's how...
I put the point about center of the target, and so I'll shoot up a little bit high. So now the trick is I'm going to take the point of my arrow and go to the bottom left-hand corner of that target, see what happens.
The big motion that really helps out when trying to shoot with traditional too, is you want to maintain a feeling like you're throwing a baseball.
All right, so now we got the buffalo. So the biggest difference between, so this is a Hoyt buffalo, and this one here is just like a little fused wood handle type. So this one here is actually, it's a shorter riser, but it's also aluminum, or airplane grade aluminum. And honestly, like when it comes to recurve bow, personally, I would always recommend getting a little bit better handle, just because you can play with the limbs as you go. You can start with cheap limbs and work your way up and all that. It's super interchangeable, but with a high quality riser like this, you can pretty much, go anywhere with it. Now this particular bow is, again, about 44-pound limbs on here, so this is going to have a lot more pull to it. I'm actually kind of curious there. I don't know if you can see too well in the video, like how slow it took for my other arrows to kind of fly and hit the target versus this guy. We're also going to, I want you to pay attention to the arch as well and see how much a little bit flatter this one shoots. Dude, that's like a little bullet. Do one more.
They call it the frozen rope of target archery, recurve archery. It's a yellow on that one.
Right. And it's funny because it's actually, I don't know, in my opinion, it's a lot easier to aim with a heavier, faster bow like this. I don't know what it is. Like my brother was saying, like Josh was saying earlier, it's almost like throwing a baseball. There's no exact way to aim for it. It's just a feel that you kind of collect over time. And that's what's really fun about the traditional, why I love it, is because it's just, you're out there, you're plinking, and it's so personal, really. Because anybody can pick it up and they have their own different feel to it. But just out there flinging arrows, this is probably the funnest as far as like recreational goes. There's actually some, you can make probably more games out of it as well. There's some games out there called archery golf, which, just like it entails, you throw out a target about 300-400 yards. If you have enough land or whatever, just take an arrow up, fling it clear up in the sky, and play golf with it. It's honestly a riot. But with these traditional bows, I mean, dang, this thing's good. I gotta do one more. You need to get me one, but I'm broke. Anyway, so that is a traditional bow. This is the Hoyt Buffalo. There's a few more out there. There's a few other recurve bows that are out there that have the aluminum riser like this, but I would definitely, if you're looking for more of an economic type of bow setup to get started, just shoot arrows just for fun. This would be a huge recommendation for you. Hey everyone, future me. So I got into shooting this video, and you get me talking about archery, and I can ramble on all day long. So I actually lost my cameraman. Josh had to run off. He had some other family business he had to take care of. So the rest of the video, as I was shooting it, ended up being about another half hour, because there's just so much that's involved with this. So I'm just gonna kind of put a little halt here. I'm gonna kind of break this up a little bit. I'll get some more stuff going into like a regular just recurve bow versus traditional, but I hope this was pretty beneficial for you. It's a really fun style to get into, just a traditional bow hunting, or not even bow hunting, but just a traditional bow. Super fun. Next time I'll get into a little bit more of recurve archery, just because that itself is another 10, 15, I mean a whole nother segment in itself. So anyway, hey, again, appreciate you for following. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that notifications bell, so you can see more videos as I upload them. And what's your favorite kind of bow setup? I'd love to hear about what you guys like and how you have your bows, arrows. If you're interested in recurve, I mean, hit me a comment down below, and if you have any questions, I will love to look at them. Maybe make a little segment about it. But again, thanks for subscribing. Keep up with that archery life, and signing off.